Good morning, this is Soledad with Canning with Sol, and today I'm going to be teaching you all about jars. So this whole class is about jars. Tomorrow I start with the canning classes on different machines and how you use them and all that. Remember, this class is for beginners. If this is the first time or you're barely starting to can and you don't know what to do, or you're scared, or more than anything, that if you're an expert at this, I'll put the instructions at the end just so that you can collaborate that it is correct. So the first thing that I want to show you is the different types of jars. So there's your store-bought jars, or you can find them in garage sales, or people give them to you, or down here people use them for decoration, for weddings, for quinceañeras, and when that thing is over, ask them if you can have them all. You can use them for counting. But this is what they consist of. There's this kind, and then there's the recycled ones, which I call the recycled ones that have the lug lids. And I'll tell you about this one right now. So this one, the first thing you want to make sure, whether it's a store-bought one or one that somebody gave you, you always want to make sure that there's no cracks. Because if there's cracks, it means water is going to get in there and they're not going to process correctly. If you use the recycled ones, how I call, which are these, this is your lid. You want to make sure that the plastic around it is intact, and as long as it's intact, you can keep reusing and reusing and reusing. These, when you process them, you tighten them as hard as you can. Unlike these, you only do fingertip tight. So the first thing with jars is you want to gather, to start canning, you want to gather as much jars as you can. So if you don't have the means to buy some, starts by saving your jars, your pickle jars, your hot sauce, your chile, your jalapeno has them, spaghetti sauce, all the sauces have. Anytime you go to the store, even me right now when I go to the store, I always try to buy everything in glass, because I know that I'm going to reuse them, and that's giving them a second life. I already paid for them, might as well reuse them. So the most important thing with jars is to have them clean. So whether they're new, somebody gave them to you, you use them today, tomorrow, anytime you're going to use them, you have to wash them really good with soap. Always inspect for cracked rims. If it has a cracked rim, I've heard that you can use them for your dry goods, but I simply just toss them away. If they're cracked or something, I just throw them away. That way I don't have to worry about it. And the way you wash them is you put them in your sink in a pot. You can wash them with a lot of soap, vinegar. Also, another thing that I do is when I'm water bathing, I put them in there, so they'll be hot in the water, plus they're getting cleansed also. That doesn't mean I don't wash them with soap. I still wash them with soap. Then I put them in the pot. So that's very important. And the reason, and always remember that if you're washing them and you're cooking something hot, make sure you're using hot water. So I always use hot water. But hot goes into hot, cold goes into cold. I always emphasize that. And that's so that seals it and it doesn't prevent it from breaking. Because of the temperature change. I wrote something that I wanted to explain. Always, if the recipe calls for a 1-inch headspace, 1 inch is the first line. And then there is 1/2 inch, which is the second. And then there's 1/4, which is the little one on the top. That is very important, because that's the space given for the food to expand, the water to circulate, the air to escape, and during that process it helps the jar seal. So if I put 1-inch headspace is the first line. Don't try to eyeball it and say, no, I'm gonna go so I can put a little bit more, or I'm gonna put less. No, it's because that's the time. People who have done it already, tested it several times, and they've had a success rate. That way you don't have to worry about throwing away food or having to eat so much food that you process and now you have to eat it. So it's very important. That creates a good seal. So you're gonna put your little lid, then your ring. Remember, fingertip tight is like this. You don't harden it. So I always say fingertip and 1/2 moon. 1/2 moon means just a little bit, like this much, like 1/2 moon. But you really don't know how tight it is until you do it. So I think I mentioned it on another video how I did it the first time, because I had a lot of them not seal in the very beginning when I did it the first time. And remember, I started canning water. That way if I messed it up, I threw it away and put more water and tried it again. So I started with water. So after that, then I put 4 of them, and I put a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Then I canned them, and one I did a little bit, the other one a little bit more, and a little bit more. So that way I knew which was my correct tents to fix. The first one, number 1, of course, didn't seal because all the water went through and everything. And the thing that I put in there is I put water, how I say water, but I put food coloring. That way I knew that if there was coloring on my pot, I knew that it came out. So that's what it is. Number 4 didn't seal because it was too tight. So it was number 3 that was the perfect one. So then I was between 2 and 3. So then I did it again with the 2 and 3, and the 3 worked better. So that's one way of a little experiment. If you're gonna experiment with something, experiment with water. Put a little bit of food coloring. And if you don't have food coloring, put a little bit of juice, put a little bit of something that has color, so that you know that if the water has color outside, you know that it came out. The water didn't go through. So that's very important to get a good seal. But first of all is wash them. They always have to be washed before and after. After, because once your food is prepped, like let's say this one that I canned, this is blackberry syrup. It's pure blackberries. This one is so good. And this one, when I canned it and it comes out, it's kind of sticky from when I first started sealing. So you want to wash it really good. You don't want any stickiness because it's going to go in your cupboard. So this is something that I can't wait to try. So this is about jars. But so I hope I explained it very well. Vinegar is very important. Remember, we always put a squirt on our pot for vinegar, so you want to have vinegar at all times. I hope I didn't confuse you anymore, and I'll put the instructions on prepping jars, but it's just having them clean and checking for cracks, making sure there's no cracks and that they're really clean. Okay, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. This is Soledad with Canning with Sol.